3 months ago, Marcus was unstoppable. He was waking up at 5 a.m. every single day, running 5 miles before breakfast, building his business, writing every evening. His life had rhythm. He had momentum. And then, one Monday morning, he didn't get out of bed. Just one day, he told himself. Just one rest day. But that one day became 2. Then a week. Then a month. And now, 3 months later, Marcus sits on his couch at 2 p.m., scrolling through his phone, wondering what the hell happened to the person he used to be. If you've ever felt like Marcus, this video is for you. Because losing momentum isn't a character flaw. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's psychology. And more importantly, it's reversible. Over the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover the science behind why momentum dies, the hidden patterns that keep you stuck, and the exact protocol to rebuild your life from zero, even when you don't feel like it. This isn't motivation. This is the manual for restarting your engine when it's completely stalled. Let's begin. Marcus didn't lose his momentum because he lacked discipline. He lost it because of something researchers call negative psychological momentum, a phenomenon studied extensively in sports psychology that applies to every area of life. Here's how it works. Momentum isn't just a feeling. It's a measurable psychological state that influences your perception, emotion, and performance. When you're in positive momentum, your brain expects success. You feel capable. Tasks seem manageable. Your prefrontal cortex is firing efficiently, making decisions feel natural and effortless. But when momentum breaks, something fascinating happens in your brain. Research shows that negative momentum creates what scientists call a cold hand effect, a psychological pattern where one setback predicts more setbacks, not because you're less capable, but because your brain now expects failure. Studies on athletes found that after experiencing negative momentum, performance dropped significantly. Not because of physical ability, but because of perception. Players who believed they were in a losing streak experienced measurable declines in collective efficacy and task cohesion. Their bodies could still perform, but their minds had already decided they couldn't win. This is what happened to Marcus. Missing one workout didn't make him weaker, but it changed his internal narrative. His brain started interpreting his identity differently. I'm the kind of person who wakes up at 5 a.m. became, I'm the kind of person who used to wake up at 5 a.m. That shift, tiny as it seems, changed everything. And here's the part that nobody tells you. Negative momentum builds faster than positive momentum. Research demonstrates an asymmetrical pattern in momentum shifts. It takes weeks to build positive momentum, but only days to lose it. Your brain is wired with a negativity bias, a survival mechanism designed to keep you safe by overweighting threats and failures. One bad performance screams louder in your mind than 10 good ones. So if you feel like you fell off faster than you climbed up, you're not imagining it. That's exactly what the science shows. But here's the critical question. Why does momentum break in the first place? Why do people like Marcus, who seem so committed, so disciplined, suddenly stop? The answer lies in something researchers call disruption recovery failure. Life throws disruptions at you constantly. Illness, stress, travel, unexpected crises, even holidays. These disruptions aren't the problem. The problem is that most people don't have a plan to recover from them. A 2025 study on habit formation identified disruption recovery as one of the biggest predictors of long-term success. People who succeed aren't the ones who never get disrupted. They're the ones who have protocols for getting back on track. They understand that missing once is normal. Missing twice is a pattern. Missing 3 times is a new identity. Marcus didn't fail because he took one rest day. He failed because he didn't have a recovery system. He let one day become 2, 2 become 5, 5 become a month. And at that point, the gap between who he was and who he is now felt so massive that starting again seemed impossible. This is the psychological trap of lost momentum. The longer you wait, the heavier the weight feels. Your brain starts generating stories. It's been too long. I've lost all my progress. I'll never get back to where I was. These aren't facts. They're narratives your brain creates to protect you from the discomfort of restarting. Because restarting means admitting you stopped. And admitting you stopped means facing the gap between your intentions and your actions. That gap, that's called cognitive dissonance. And your brain hates it. So instead of restarting, you avoid. You scroll. You distract. You numb. Anything to escape the uncomfortable truth that you're not who you said you'd be. But here's what changes everything. Neuroscience shows that action comes before motivation, not after. Read that again. Action comes before motivation. You don't wait to feel motivated. You act first and motivation follows. This principle is the foundation of a therapeutic technique called behavioral activation, and it's one of the most powerful tools in psychology for reversing stagnation. When you're stuck, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and goal pursuit, goes into low-power mode. You feel foggy, unmotivated, paralyzed. But here's the breakthrough. You don't fix that by thinking your way out. You fix it by doing something, anything, that signals to your brain that forward movement is possible. Small wins act like jumper cables for your brain. Reply to one email. Take a 5-minute walk. Make your bed. Clean one drawer. These aren't productive in the traditional sense, but they send a chemical signal to your brain that says, we're moving again. And that signal, that tiny spark, reignites the system. Marcus didn't need a massive transformation. He needed one small win. Just one. Not a 5-mile run. A 5-minute walk. Not writing a chapter. Writing one sentence. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is breaking the inertia. Because once you move, momentum starts building again. Slowly at first, then faster, then unstoppable. So let's talk about the protocol. The exact steps to rebuild momentum from absolute zero. This is what Marcus needed. And this is what you need if you've lost your rhythm and don't know how to get it back. Step 1. Stop trying to go back to where you were. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. And trying to resurrect it will only create more frustration. You're not restarting. You're starting fresh. New data. New baseline. New person. Accept that and the pressure drops immediately. Step 2. Identify your why and make it real. Research shows that goals stick when you understand the purpose behind them, not just the outcome. Marcus wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. But why? To feel disciplined? To build his business? To prove something to himself? Take 10 minutes once a week for 4 weeks and write down why this goal matters. Not what you'll get. Why it matters to who you're becoming. Step 3. Shrink the behavior to something absurdly small. Forget the 5-mile run. Can you put on running shoes? Forget the 90-minute work session. Can you open your laptop? The rule is simple. Make it so small that your brain has no excuse to say no. This is called habit minimization, and studies show it increases consistency by 73%. Step 4. Apply the never miss twice rule. This is the most important rule in momentum recovery. You will miss. You will slip. You will have a bad day. That's not failure. That's being human. But you must commit to never missing twice in a row. 1 miss is a blip. 2 misses is a pattern. 3 misses is a new identity. Guard that second day like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Step 5. Use environmental modification to eliminate friction. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If you want to run in the morning, put your running shoes next to your bed. If you want to stop scrolling, delete the apps. Research on habit formation shows that environmental design increases habit adherence by 58%. You're not weak. Your environment is working against you. Change the environment, and the behavior changes automatically. Step 6. Track momentum, not outcomes. Don't measure how fast you ran or how much you wrote. Measure whether you showed up. Create a simple streak tracker. Put an X on the calendar for every day you take action, no matter how small. Research shows that visual tracking alone significantly increases consistency because it gives your brain a tangible representation of progress. Step 7. Build dopamine reset habits. When you're stuck, your brain craves instant hits, social media, junk food, Netflix binges. These don't restore long-term drive. They just numb discomfort. To rebuild sustainable motivation, focus on activities that produce real dopamine. Novelty, movement, connection, and completion. Try something new. Move your body. Call a friend. Finish one small task. These recalibrate your brain's reward system and rebuild psychological momentum. Step 8. Accept that the first 2 weeks will feel terrible. And that's normal. When you restart momentum, you're fighting against what researchers call homeostatic resistance, your brain's tendency to return to baseline. Your nervous system doesn't like change. It prefers the familiar, even if the familiar is dysfunction. So yes, it will feel hard. Yes, you'll want to quit. But that discomfort isn't evidence that it's not working. It's evidence that it is working. You're rewiring neural pathways. That takes energy. That takes time. Expect discomfort. Don't let it surprise you. Step 9. Plan for disruption before it happens. This is where most people fail. They build momentum, then life happens. Travel, illness, family emergency, and everything collapses. But if you plan for disruption, you can recover in hours instead of months. Create a disruption protocol. If I miss one day, I do a 10-minute version the next day. If I miss 2 days, I restart with the smallest possible action on day 3. Write it down. Make it automatic. Remove the decision fatigue when chaos hits. Step 10. Reframe lapses as data, not failure. Research shows that people who analyze lapses without self-judgment recover faster and stronger. When you slip, ask, what triggered this? What was I feeling? What can I learn? Treat it like a scientist studying an experiment. No shame. No guilt. Just information. Because every lapse contains the blueprint for your next breakthrough. Marcus applied this protocol. He didn't run 5 miles. He put on his shoes and walked to the end of his street. That's it. The next day, he walked 2 blocks. The day after, he jogged for 60 seconds. 2 weeks later, he ran a mile. A month later, he was back to 5 miles. But more importantly, he was back to being someone who keeps promises to himself. The momentum didn't return because he was disciplined. It returned because he understood the science. He stopped waiting for motivation. He stopped romanticizing who he used to be. He accepted where he was, shrank the task to something manageable, and moved. One small action. One tiny signal to his brain that forward movement was possible again. And that's the truth about momentum that nobody tells you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel motivated. You don't need to feel like the person you used to be. You just need to move. Once. Then again. Then again. And somewhere in that repetition, momentum builds. Not because you're strong. Not because you're special. But because your brain is designed to adapt. It's called neuroplasticity. And it works whether you believe in it or not. So if you've lost your momentum, if you're sitting there like Marcus was 3 months ago, wondering what happened to the person you used to be, here's what I need you to understand. That person isn't gone. They're just dormant. Waiting. And the gap between where you are and where you were isn't as big as it feels. It's one action away. One small win. One signal to your brain that you're moving again. You don't need 30 days. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need ideal conditions. You need 5 minutes. You need one tiny action. You need to break the inertia right now. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Not when you feel ready. Now. So here's your challenge. Right after this video ends, do one thing. One small action toward the person you're becoming. Put on your shoes. Open the document. Send the message. Make the call. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be movement. Because momentum isn't about going fast. It's about refusing to stay still. And the moment you move, even an inch, you've already won. The engine is turning over. The wheels are spinning. And before you know it, you're not trying to get your momentum back. You are the momentum. Your move.